Did the Army secretly spray a potential carcinogen on the residents of a majority black and low-income neighborhood in St. Louis and then claim without a shadow of a doubt that it was harmless? You know they did. So let's talk about it. According to the Associated Press, during the Cold War in the 50s and 60s, the Army used blowers on top of buildings and in the backs of station wagons to spray a potential carcinogen, zinc cadmium sulfide, into the air surrounding a St. Louis housing project where most residents were black and low income. The government claimed that they sprayed these chemicals here to simulate what would happen in a biological weapons attack. They also claimed that what they were doing was harmless, yet and still they kept it a secret from these residents until '94. It had happened in the 50s and 60s. These brothers right here thought that they just saw smoke coming out of a chimney when there were actually people on the top of buildings in hazmat suits spraying their neighborhoods. And there would be people driving by in station wagons spraying the air with toxic chemicals. They would sometimes even be stationed on top of schools while doing these sprayings. Like y'all, literally kids are walking into the building, leaving the building while getting sprayed. The government claims this spraying was harmless, but they also found in a worst case scenario study that repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide could cause kidney and bone toxicity and lung cancer. But the Army says there's no evidence that anyone was harmed by these sprayings. Regardless of the so-called evidence, both of these men right here know people who have died prematurely and have had unusual deaths since those sprayings. For instance, one of them lost their mom to cancer and had a sister who had convulsions that puzzled her doctor, while the other brother had a brother who had health problems for years and died of heart failure. And because of how they were treated while living in this public housing, they're seeking compensation. But you might be asking, why almost 30 years after finding out are they seeking compensation now? For one, it's difficult because you're seeking compensation from the very people who harmed you in the first place, right? Secondly, U.S. Senator Josh Hawley, who's a Republican from Missouri, is seeking compensation for Cold War era victims in Missouri who lived near toxic nuclear dump waste sites without their knowledge. And these brothers right here are saying that they should be included in that compensation package. Rightfully so. So let's put pressure on Josh by going to his site and filling out this form to make sure that happens.